Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's begin our broadcast with the latest on Operation Epic Fury as, of course, the United States Navy has entered day 2 of its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. As seen on Truth Social over the weekend, President Trump ordered the Navy to blockade Iran's ports in the Strait of Hormuz beginning yesterday at 10 a.m. Meantime, Iran says the blockade is, quote, piracy and will take decisive action if needed and force, as you look at some of the map there, specifically at the Strait of Hormuz. So we'll monitor the latest developments within that global situation as it develops, including the latest from the Commander-in-Chief via Truth Social and during live events as they happen. And speaking of the Middle East, just a little bit from that distance right there, according to Trey Yingst, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be holding historic peace talks between Israel and Lebanon in Washington, D.C. today, so we'll monitor those international developments as well. Back here stateside, also monitoring the latest as California's Eric Swalwell has not only dropped out of the governor's race in California, he resigned from Congress yesterday after facing numerous allegations of sexual misconduct. This as Congress is back in session on Capitol Hill, debating the Save America Act and hopefully fully opening the government when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security. So there's a lot of news going on, as you guys know, out there. Specifically, when we look at the Save America Act, I saw Senate Majority Leader John Thune speaking about that on the Senate floor moments ago. So that's something that people are talking about. Of course, we the people want that thing to pass. We want voter ID, proof of citizenship, all of the things to really secure our elections, especially in time for November 3rd, the midterm election. While we await a number of live interviews that will be joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including playing a clip a little bit later in the hour about the DoorDash thing that happened there, where he received McDonald's, the president did, for the staff at the Oval Office. We have that clip in its entirety. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's shift gears, though, a little bit now. Let's go to RFK Jr., the Secretary of the Health and Human Services Department, as there's a new video from the Secretary.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm here with Tom Engels from HRSA and with Congressman Sisquamani. We are at the Marana Health Center right outside of Tucson. And we just met with the leaders, the CEOs of almost 24 federally qualified health centers that specialize in servicing rural populations. We also announced today a new program, an unprecedented program, $135 million from HRSA to improve nutrition at those health centers. So to build kitchens, recruit dietitians, recruit nutritionists, build home gardens, to try to get prevention and good nutrition at the forefront of healthcare in these communities. And another $11 million to bring in doctors who are in training to serve their residencies in those healthcare centers.
Secretary Kennedy has shown real leadership. He is asking the federally qualified health centers across this country to apply new nutrition efforts in their health centers. In addition to that, we want to get more doctors, more dentists, more psychiatrists out in the rural areas.
This has been an amazing day. We're very happy with this announcement and the funds that are going to be available for our healthcare providers and also clinics to be able to tap into that and be able to supply the needs that we have in rural Arizona and all across the entire state and the country. Thank you to both of you for being here in City 6, and thank you all as well for your support.
And speaking of the Southwest, of course, President Trump will be in Arizona on the 17th, this Friday. Robert McNeely will be there, boots on the ground, as we interview a number of great people outside of that venue. The day before, on Thursday, the president will be in Las Vegas talking more about the no tax on tips. There's a roundtable that'll be held on Thursday. Of course, you can catch all of that live event coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. In the meantime, as we get ready to have some live interviews here on Right Side, let's go to an interview at the White House with the White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson, who we caught up with late last week. Joining us now is the White House Deputy Press Secretary, Abigail Jackson. Thanks again for joining us, Abigail.
Yeah, great to be here.
All right, let's talk about the DHS shutdown. I think this is day 55 of this situation where DHS is not receiving full funding. So what's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm so glad that you're still talking about this. A lot of folks aren't, because the president took bold and decisive action to make sure that TSA officers and the rest of the hardworking employees at DHS are still getting paid despite the Democrats' decision not to fund the department. So because the president has done that, a lot of folks in the media don't want to talk about the crisis that we're still facing. And that is that the Democrats have refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security. They do not want to fund specifically ICE and Border Patrol, who are working so hard to keep our country safe and to remove dangerous criminals from the country. And so the president is continuing to work to fund the department. With Congress coming back next week, we're hoping to make some progress on that front.
Also, we aired a video at the top of the broadcast of a number of angel families there at the White House, and some of them breaking down, crying, sharing their stories about how their loved one was taken from an illegal alien, a criminal. So this thing, it makes no sense to a lot of people, that the fact that the Democrats want this laundry list of demands when it's really taking away what we need, more security for our country and our people, no?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And any American with a shred of common sense, so not Democrats in Congress, knows that ICE and CBP and the rest of the Department of Homeland Security are working tirelessly to keep American communities safe. I mean, just yesterday, the president shared on Truth Social the details of a horrific murder in Florida committed by an illegal alien that many in the mainstream media didn't want to talk about. But the president drew attention to this, and he will always draw attention to innocent American lives that are taken at the hands of illegal aliens. And I think what's the most devastating about this story is that it is not an outlier. There are constantly stories of American lives that are lost at the hands of a criminal illegal alien. And to your point, these angel families simply want attention for their cause, and they want to make sure that no family ever has to go through what they have gone through. And the Democrats simply don't care, and their decision to continue holding up funding for the department demonstrates that they are choosing to put illegal aliens over American citizens every single time.
And every single time, to your point, it sounds like the same thing when it comes to the Save America Act, because the Democrats, none of them want to even say they have any support for it, calling it a number of things other than the Save America Act, which, again, the common sense, isn't it? It seems like the percentage of people out there really want to see that act passed.
Oh, absolutely. The Save America Act is full of policies that have support from a huge majority of Americans, not just Republican voters, but all voters. That includes Democrat voters. Things like voter ID when you cast your ballot, proving that you're an American citizen before you can vote in American elections. I mean, these, again, are just common sense policies that the only people who are standing up and opposing it are Democrats in Congress. And you really have to ask yourself the question, why would Democrats oppose ensuring our elections are secure and ensuring that only American citizens can vote in American elections? It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. What does make sense is the great leadership of Pete Hegseth at the Department of War as we shift to Operation Epic Fury. I mean, he doesn't have to deal with the DEI stuff at all. He's able to follow an order and take care of business as ordered. And I think that yeah, as President Trump mentions, a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, maybe asking him, what about Pete? I don't know if that's a great pick. Well, he's a great pick, isn't he?
Yes, Pete Hegseth has done an excellent job leading the Department of War, and the president's entire team has really done an outstanding job executing on the goals that he set forth at the beginning of this operation. And as you know, and as your viewers know, the president has taken every single action possible to keep the American people safe now and for generations to come. And he is continuing to put the American people first, whether that is in the policies he's advocating for abroad or the policies he's advocating for at home, like the Save America Act, like making sure the Department of Homeland Security gets funded, and everything else he's working on.
Here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, as you know, we like to tell it like it is. We've seen President Trump speak like that so many times in various speeches out there and within the Oval Office. But I just wanted to ask you a question just about your, when you started working at the White House there, what's your journey? How did you get to that position? Because people, to get working at the White House, it doesn't, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do that.
Yes. Yeah, I was lucky enough to work for the president on his 2020 campaign and able to find a spot here on Caroline's team in the White House this time around. So I'm super grateful to be working with an awesome press team with Caroline and for the greatest president in history, President Donald Trump, and to have a front row seat to everything he's doing for the American people. I mean, I know your viewers see it. I know the American people see every single day he's working tirelessly. And I can personally attest that he really does work around the clock. He is just constantly doing so much that sometimes the news doesn't pick it up. Take, for example, tax week's coming up next week. I think the American people often forget, and who can blame them because things move so fast, that the president signed into law the biggest tax cut for working Americans in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and a host of other benefits that really help working Americans. So those are still the types of things that President Trump is focused on every single day as the media tries to distract and cover everything else. And I'm lucky to be here and sharing the president's message with you all.
I do want to ask you a curveball question. Do you know the midterm national convention? I know President Trump talked about this on Truth Social. Have you heard any word on that happening?
Unfortunately, because that is more on the campaign side and I'm here at the White House, that's not something I can speak to. But, you know, I'm sure you'll hear more from the president directly on that.
Awesome. All right. White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Great to be with you as always.
Thank you. All right. So that interview conducted on Friday right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as you're looking live there in Washington, D.C., the Jefferson Memorial, a beautiful memorial there for our great third president, founding father. Haven't been to D.C. in a minute. It'd be great to visit that once again there. In the meantime, we're going to go to a video with the Secretary of Interior, Doug Bergum, in just a second. But before we do, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. The warehouse moving sale. Enough said, right? Because there is a lot of products that you guys might like, and I'm sure a lot of you might already have some of the products, but more than 2,000 to choose from. So just go to mypillow.com/RSBN. You have up to 80% that you can save off of the retail price there. So go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the great Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota, running that business and many others out there as he continues to work for the American people indirectly, even though he's not a governor at this point, but really someone that is a freedom fighter and obviously a great company there with mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. This is as we grow and expand and keep the lights on here at the network. Of course, we have some great sponsorships, some great people that are donating to the network. But if you'd also like to throw your hat in the ring on that, you're really investing in conservative media at the end of the day, keeping that voice, keeping that freedom, keeping everything going here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including all of the travel costs and that kind of thing. We have a huge trip coming up to Arizona on Friday because President Trump will be there. And we'll have a lot of what you see and what you've grown to see on Right Side Broadcasting Network over the years. Of course, us interviewing people outside of the events. We're going to have that on Friday as well. So looking forward to that coverage. Robert McNeely will be there out there in Arizona. I'll be here in studio as we tag team that coverage. So looking forward to it. But if you'd like to donate, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. Also, specifically for those that like to send a check, you can. We have a P.O. box for that. 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. If you missed what I just said, all you have to do is pause, scrub back a little bit, hit play. But thanks so much for those of you that donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, it's 1:15. It's Tuesday. It's April 14th. Thanks again for joining us live. In the meantime, as we await our live interviews, let's go to a new video posted by the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Bergum, for clip number 4.
We are in a major powers battle with China on a number of fronts. Critical minerals is one of them.
Of course, I want to start off by thanking Secretary Bergum for being here and for his leadership in this area, in this arena. Copper is a big part of Arizona. Mining is a big part of the history of Arizona. And the San Javier mine here is one of the biggest elements of that.
Why do we care about critical minerals? Well, if you drive a car, own a cell phone, and use a cell phone, watch TV, you're a veteran, then it probably matters to you because it touches everything we do. Part of what our administration is about is speeding up permitting. It's just about getting to yes. It's figuring out how to make things happen because it is literally about the future of this country.
All right, so monitoring a lot of the latest social media videos out there. I mean, that's one way to get, the media out there, right? The communication to the people. And obviously watching Right Side Broadcasting Network and conservative media as a whole. Now, meantime, President Trump spoke highly of someone that has appeared on this broadcast a time or two, election expert Seth Keshel. Now, in a recent post, the commander-in-chief said, quote, from Newt Gingrich, quote, Seth Keshel, the best student of voter registration in the country, just reported that first time in history, the GOP leads registration, now R plus 2,000, 107,000 right out of the 2024 election when Trump won by 3.2%. Specifically, what this means is transplants are overwhelmingly R, meaning Republican. So to explain that and also more about election integrity, let's go to Seth Keshel joining us live right now to speak to us about all things elections. Seth, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Well, good afternoon, Matt. Good morning here in Arizona. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, same to you. Can you talk to us about that post? When you saw that post, what ran through your mind? And then also, can you break down the numbers that are within that post that has been seen by a lot of people?
Sure. Well, I was in Oxford, Mississippi, watching Ole Miss play LSU in baseball. It was the 20-year anniversary of the Ole Miss baseball SEC tournament champions. And I was hanging out with some of my old teammates, and Rachel came up to me with the True Social post with President Trump talking about me again. And he was referencing the context of that. He's just referencing voter registration trends in North Carolina specifically. So for the first time in history, Republicans lead voter registration there in North Carolina. Now, he may have been watching an outdated clip because the registration advantage for the GOP is now over 10,000. So that appears to be a couple months old. But either way, the president's taking note that North Carolina and most states that are receiving transplants from the Northeast or from the failed states out on the West Coast are overwhelmingly Republican leaning.
Which is obviously a great thing coming into the midterms, but also within the framework of the Save America Act. What's your take right now? What are the things that you're focusing on, Seth? Because as the president said, as Newt Gingrich said, you are an election expert now becoming more on that national scale. So can you just walk us through some of the things that you're looking at, whether it's from state to state or nationally?
I'm focused on long-term success, identifying pathways in which Republicans can take over everything from the county level all the way up to the federal government. And I think that we have plenty of opportunities for growth. We've been watching the deliberations in the Senate with the Save America Act, which is a complete catastrophe. But I'm focused on helping people understand the states that they live in, the political problems they're in, understanding what types of election laws are on the books that limit certain types of candidates from being successful. So being able to keep tabs on all of this requires a great degree of study and understanding and be able to document that in a way that people can understand. Of course, I have the book, The American War on Election Corruption, that we talked about last month here on the show, and that's done really well. More than 7,000 units sold nationally since it released on March the 5th, and that would be in print, audio, and ebook.
Awesome to see that. Awesome to see those numbers. Now, when we look at a state, your home state right now in Arizona, tell us the latest there. We know President Trump will be there on Friday. Maybe you'll be at that event, but what does it look like in Maricopa County and all of that moving forward?
Well, Maricopa County is extremely important on a national scale. For those of us who are election integrity folks, we consider Maricopa County the ground zero of the election integrity crisis, thanks to its instrumental role on November 3rd, 2020, being called with very little of the vote counted. And of course, that was the signal to stop counts in the Rust Belt, Midwest. Maricopa County's 3/5 of the vote in Arizona, combined with Pima County, we're looking at 3/4 of the vote from just two counties. Extremely important to understand how elections are manipulated in the mail. But Maricopa County and Pima both have a slight dim lean here in the last couple months because they're really amping up their voter registration efforts ahead of the primaries. I'm not sure that it's going to be sustained based on the nationwide trend since November of 2024, but both parties are busy registering voters. Candidates are busy getting ready for primaries.
There were some recent cases being brought up at the Supreme Court. I believe it was 14 states talking about, mail-in ballots and that kind of thing. Did you monitor that? What's your take from what happened there at the Supreme Court in D.C. just about 2 weeks ago?
Well, you have Watson versus Republican National Committee. Watson being the Secretary of State of Mississippi, trying to defend the state's laws that allow for counting of late arriving mail-in ballots. The good news is all 6 Republican appointed Supreme Court justices seem to be pretty upset about the concept of election day not really meaning anything anymore. So I think they're signaling that there is going to be some relief about the late arriving mail-in ballots, which will really kneecap some states like California. If you remember, they declared 2 House seats flipped away from Republicans in December of 2024, almost to Christmas. So anyway, we have a lot of progress that is yet to be found, but I think that we might have some signal coming our way through the Supreme Court.
And then let's talk about California a little bit more. The Republican, the gubernatorial race there, of course, Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, and others. Have you kind of looked at that as well, or are you just focused really in on numbers and registration for Republicans and that kind of thing?
Well, I focus on the registration trends, but I've never thought at any one time that you would have 2 Republicans duking it out to be governor of California. That was a bunch of junk food that people were unfortunately consuming, not realizing there would soon be an effort to get Democrats to drop out. And as we saw, the big effort was Nancy Pelosi making sure that Eric Swalwell had to find his way out of the race, and that will further help the Democrats at least nominate one guy.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens there in the state of California. And then finally, just moving forward to the midterm election, we heard that there's going to be an RNC midterm convention. Obviously, that usually happens in presidential cycles. Your thoughts about something like that, just to rally the base? What do you think really needs to happen to get us to over the finish line to win the midterms?
Well, look, winning the midterms is always hard for the president's party. This is a case of unrealistic expectations that we see online, thinking there's going to be any sort of a red wave. The best case scenario is a successful defense of the majorities, and that is a very difficult task given how small that GOP majority was to begin with, 220 to 215 as elected. There's a good reason it's small, and the gerrymandering, of course, is one reason. The blue states have more effectively gerrymandered their states than the red states have, which, of course, both sides have done this. But the average loss in House seats for the president's party since 1934 is 27. In 20 out of 23 midterms since 1934, the president's party loses seats. So what really needs to be done, you have to have reasons to come vote for people. The House is not to blame for where the SAVE Act is today. That's a credit to Speaker Johnson for getting that through with a small majority. But the Senate is now exposing itself to be potentially trimmed as a majority. I don't see how they're going to lose the Senate right now based on the races that are up. But you have to have the voters motivated to come out and vote for one, or you're going to get a depressed turnout. And number 2, the finite resources that are available need to be channeled into the seats that can actually be won in a 2026 midterm cycle. So we shouldn't be targeting safe Democrat seats in a 2026 cycle. The seats that normally flip in the House are seats that have vacancies, whether you've got deaths or retirements, or you can really spot them based on the previous election's results. Like in Arizona, we have 2 seats that I think are playable, and both of them are Republican defenses. Whereas in Florida or Texas, the Republicans are on offense trying to pick up seats. So having a clear picture of what the map looks like is the first starting point, and I'm not really so sure that everyone has that.
Where can people follow you? Where can people find your book?
Well, people can find the book on Amazon, The American War on Election Corruption, with foreword by Newt Gingrich. It's available in print, audio, and ebook. Online, I'm on Telegram, True Social, Twitter. Most commonly used handle is @RealSKeshel. And my Substack is Captain K's Corner, a national bestseller, actually a worldwide bestseller, and that's CaptainK.us.
Awesome. Seth Keshel, election expert, author, and military as well. So thank you again for your service.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Seth Keshel joining us live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It was awesome to, hear from Seth after, just a week ago, President Trump posting about Seth per and via Newt Gingrich there. So it'll be great to speak with him again. It's always good to kind of get those numbers and understand what's going on when it comes to our elections. In the meantime, let's go to a few of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Specifically with everything that's going on in the world right now, supply chain issues, global instability, shortages that not many are talking about. Unfortunately, your access to medication is something that should be top of mind, but most people don't think about it until they need something and can't get it. And by then, it's just too late. So we've been recommending All Family Pharmacy for a while now, and this is exactly why. They're an independent American pharmacy that helps you stay stocked and prepared. They carry hard-to-find medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, and NAD+, along with more than 400 everyday prescriptions for blood pressure, thyroid, diabetes, and more. And they make this whole process simple. If you already have a prescription, your doctor can send it straight to them. If you don't have one, you go online, you fill out a quick form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, then they'll handle that prescription and ship it straight to your door. And it's all about being prepared before you need it, not scrambling after the fact. So the people who have what they need in a crisis are the ones who simply planned ahead. So don't wait until the shelves are empty. You can get ahead of all of that now. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, as you see there on your screen. And you could search for what you and your family might need and save 10% at checkout when you use that RSBN 10 promo code. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group before we move on to our next live interview and covering the 24/7 news cycle. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was actually fixed at $35 an ounce. And if you fast forward to today, the US dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. So gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%. That's why, central banks and others out there, they're buying gold at record levels. And here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. But it all starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. It's a free online event. It rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. And if you sign up, you'll get free silver on your next purchase. So you get even larger incentives as you go. So the more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs until April 30th. So the dollar, of course, lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. Just text the word Trump to the number you see on the screen there, 989898, to join Birch Gold Group's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Again, it's texting Trump to 989898 today. All right, let's do this. It's 1:28. We'll have an interview at about 1:30 Eastern Time coming up in just a minute. Let's take a quick commercial break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, recently met with Indonesian officials at the Pentagon. Check it out.
Well, Minister Shafri, welcome to the Pentagon. It's an honor to have you. It's an honor to host your team as well. Your visit demonstrates the importance that the War Department places on our growing security relationship, and it is growing and active with Indonesia. In recognition of the important security collaboration we are undertaking, we are announcing today that our two countries are elevating our security partnership to a major defense cooperation partnership. I appreciate your continued support in helping the United States find, return, and protect the remains of our soldiers who fought alongside Indonesians during World War II. The signing of this memorandum of understanding in front of us will enable the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency to recover those missing service members and return them to their families. So thank you, Mr. Minister, for being here, and I very much look forward to our meeting and our productive discussion today.
All right, now we'll go to one of our live interviews that are scheduled for right now here at the bottom of the hour, 1:30 Eastern Time. Let's go to Liam Bowie. He's joining us now. He's originally from Vietnam, but Vietnam to the American dream. Liam has lived a refugee's journey to freedom, and as soon as we get the camera on there, we'll go to him live. But in the meantime, it's Tuesday, April 14th, 1:31 Eastern Time. We're going to go over a number of our great things that we're going to be covering coming up. So specifically, outside of any breaking news, here are a few notable events. On Thursday, President Trump will host a roundtable on the no tax on tips in Las Vegas, Nevada. On Friday, of course, the 47th president will travel to Arizona to deliver a speech at a TPUSA event. We'll be live in the Grand Canyon State for that event. And then, of course, in May, President Trump will travel to China to meet with President Xi Jinping on May 14th and 15th. There will be a reciprocal visit in D.C. later this year. Of course, on June 14th, Flag Day, there will be quite the UFC event on the South Lawn of the White House. Then July 4th, next month, the USA turns 250 years young. And of course, the United States midterm election coming up in November. I know it's a few months out, but still, obviously, a huge election coming up. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We'll get that live interview going, and we'll be back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
All right, it's 1:34 Eastern Time. Thanks again for live streaming or watching on replay as we get ready to cover a lot of events, of course, later in the week. In the meantime, just yesterday, if you caught it, of course, President Trump received that DoorDash order to the Oval Office, all about no tax on tips. Well, we're going to play that video in just a little bit. Before we do, let's go to Liam Bowie. He is originally from Vietnam and now living the American dream. Liam has lived a refugee's journey to freedom. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. I know that we've had a number of people, whether from Russia or China, that, escaped communism. And I know that someone like yourself, same thing, same kind of story from Vietnam. Can you talk to us about your story here as you've seen us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network and, a lot of great connections for freedom?
Yes. I don't know when I start watching RSBN, but, I love to watching Trump rally. Sometimes we attended in person during the year 2019, 2020. So, but the RSBN is always my favorite channel. So this month, April, is very remarkable day. Is that Vietnamese people we call April 30th. It's the Black April because that day is the fall of Saigon in April 30th, 1975. And I also escaped from Vietnam on April 30th, but it's not 75, it's 1981. So that means I have been living with the communist for 6 years with 10 attempts to escape from 1978 to 1981 and were in jail for one time for illegal escape. So finally, in April 30th, 1981, that the successful trip, God bless me that I escaped on the small, tiny boat on the Thai Gulf for 5 days. So finally, we arrived one of the best towns in South Thailand.
So can you tell us the story here? So you're an American citizen now. Can you talk to the people just about your love for freedom? I mean, at the end of the day, G. Van Fleet has been on the network, of course, as well. And I know that there are a number of people that you're connected to that love this country, love RSBN, love President Trump, have watched the rallies. You saw that author T.S. Dixon talking about the woke mind virus on here. So what's the connection like for just loving freedom like you guys do in Vietnam and other countries around the world?
Yes, okay. So I spent 15 months in the refugee camp. Not only one, few of them from Thailand to Indonesia and Singapore, and took the airplane to US Troy in 1982. So I went to school again. I used to be a university student back then in Vietnam, and I escaped. So I went to school in San Diego and graduated with a degree electrical engineer. So I had been working in the Silicon Valley for 20 years. And then during the 2009, the economy is down, and I was 50 years old at the time. So I decided to switch my career. So right now I work for University of California in San Francisco at the cashier restaurant. It's my second career, and this year I plan to retire. That I get full-time retirement age in July of this year. So I probably retire in July or September. So to me, that this country that give me is everything: school, education, your career, and your family. I have two children, and I feel that I want to get into retirement. So even the job right now, I work remote, very very nice. But I think that it's time to enjoy more things, like support your Republican for your midterm 2026 and your presidential 2028. So I watching your ISBN and one time. I'm in the middle of the thing. I saw T.S. Dixon. I did not know who he was and what's his name because you don't have a subtitle. So I have to go. He spoke very well. So I went to the chat box and to track down his name. And you mentioned about some books, but I just don't know the title of the books. So I ordered to Amazon to get the book and spend time to read that. And I think it's really wonderful because what I see nowadays, like several years from now, it's like something is similar to communists from the Democrats. The way they talk, they lying, they labeling, they create the hatred, divided. But it's just like a Bergum. Until I read the books and I see like, oh, your Bergum connected, become a picture, the full picture, what it's going to be. Democrats never change. They will be playing, they will fight until they win. And if they win, we do not have a country anymore. And all the American dream I have, it cannot pass down into my children. So I take me time to thinking about translate into Vietnamese because it's very difficult books. It's a lot of terminology. We don't have it in Vietnamese dictionary. So that's why now, 288 page in the original one, we get 342. So, then some people supported me, encouraged me, okay, to translate to Vietnamese. So I think it's a gift. That's the best gift I have for almost 44 years in the US and 45 years by the end of this month since I escaped out of Vietnam successfully. So we recruit people and all your translator people, they are scholar, they are writer, they translate and we achieving the goal that we finish 10 chapters. Then yeah, but well, just talk a little bit before that.
It's a great story. Thank you again, sir. What we'll do is, there's a little bit of an audio issue. I know that a lot of people are probably hearing that and seeing that right now. So maybe what we'll do is we'll get a better audio situation for a future interview. But the reason to bring you on, though, at the end of the day is our genuine love for God, family, country, and freedom. And met you through some other people within the conservative movement. But thank you again, sir. Tell everyone in Vietnam and others that you know in California that we love you guys. And thank you so much for spending the time with us, Liam. And we'll talk to you later. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so 1:42 Tuesday, April 14th. Obviously we are RSBN Live. So when there's something that's live, it goes right to air, and it is what it is. But obviously some of the audio issues there, we'll see if we can get that fixed up for next time. Let's do this. Let's go to some of our sponsors, and then we're going to wrap up with a couple things. Jackson Lohmeyer running for Congress in Oklahoma. We'll play that interview. And then on top of that, President Trump, of course, yesterday, receiving that DoorDash order, all thanks to no tax on tips. We have the entire video. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's go to some of our sponsors. The first one, as you're about to see on your screen, here at 143calci.com/RSBN. Of course, a lot of different topics that you can bet, trade, or check out various polls on. You can get the app if you'd like. You can go to the QR code. You can go to calci.com/RSBN. So 3 ways to get to Calci. Once you get there, you're going to see a lot of different topics, a lot of questions, a lot of people betting, trading, and checking out polls. Well, you can do the same thing, calci.com/RSBN, as Congress is back on Capitol Hill now. So hopefully the DHS shutdown will stop. That's one of the things that is trending on Calci. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side, including Rumble Wallet, as you see there on your screen, specifically Rumble Wallet. A number of people just started using Rumble Wallet. I recently downloaded it in my app store as well. And if you ever have been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stable coins, how about even gold-backed stable coins, but felt like it was too complicated, well, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. You can buy, sell, and manage your cryptocurrencies all in one place, and the app is super straightforward. What really makes Rumble Wallet unique is that you can actually use it to tip your favorite creators like us here at Right Side and others out there, and support the Freedom First community we've built here on Rumble. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign up with your existing Rumble account. No need for a new login. You just complete a few security steps and you're set up in minutes. You can start with just a few dollars, and with MoonPay built into Rumble Wallet, you can easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or bank wire. So you've been thinking about, the advantages of crypto. You can download Rumble Wallet now. All you have to do is click our link in the description or search Rumble Wallet in your app store. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets to where they belong, in your hands, in your control. Now, Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. You can see terms at wallet.rumble.com. Rumble Wallet, another great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, it's 1:45. It's Tuesday, April 14th. If you're just joining us, we started at 1 o'clock Eastern, went over a number of the stories that we're tracking, but let's go to Oklahoma, a state that went 77 for 77 of the counties for President Trump in 2024, and probably a few other presidential cycles for President Trump as well. So let's go to Jackson Lawmeyer, who's running for Congress in Oklahoma. Jackson Lawmeyer is running for Congress there, if you haven't heard already. Thanks so much for joining us once again, Jackson.
Hey, it's always good to be on with you and love all that you guys are doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Can you tell us what was it that said to you, was it someone that said to you, hey, run for Congress, or were you saying, I got to get out there and do this?
Well, no, I was definitely not saying I got to get out there and do this. Anytime you run for office, you kind of sign your life away, right? And so I originally said, no, not interested. But my wife and a lot of great people came around me and said, you really ought to do this. And so we've jumped in. And it's very simple why we're in. I want to take our conservative values to D.C. to help advance President Trump's America First agenda. Because you know this and your audience knows this. We're on the great American comeback. But President Trump needs reinforcements in D.C., in the Senate and in the House. And so that's why I'm in this, is to help advance his agenda.
Let's talk about that because we know that the Congress is on recess right now. They're going to get back into onto Capitol Hill on Monday. Your thoughts about two things. One, the DHS funding issue. I think it's day 55 of that right now where it's not fully funded. And then second, the Save America Act, that kind of thing. So if you were in Congress right now, what would you be saying?
Well, I'd be saying we're putting America last, because these are Americans that help keep all of us safe as we're flying across the country. And by not funding DHS over the Save America Act, right, over voter ID, I thought it was interesting. There was an article that came out today. Barack Obama has his presidential library, right? Did you know you have to have an ID to get into the presidential library? Now, I want you to think about that for a second. You have to have an ID to get in there, but you don't have to have an ID to vote. Something is off, and we're putting American citizens last over this whole thing. So I would be shouting from the rooftops, what are we doing here?
Exactly. And that's what we're seeing in the country. A lot of people are saying exactly what you're saying. You need an ID for everything, it seems. A lot of other countries, too, you have to register to vote and have an ID and prove of citizenship. To your point, in Chicago for the Obama Library, I can guarantee you that I will never see you there because you're not going to ever see me there. But how about
not on my bucket list of places to visit.
No, definitely not. Not specifically that building. Now, let's talk about that building in the sense of another one. And I believe it's going to be in Miami, Florida. President Trump just made that announcement about the Trump Library. Did you see some of those images there? Quite awesome stuff.
Very Trump-esque, is it not? You compare the images of Obama's to Trump's, it's night and day, and it's quite incredible. Obama's looks like a penitentiary. It looks like a prison. And Trump's is this beautiful skyscraper that looks like it belongs in the New York area, and to have it in Miami. And so, that is a great example of the contrast between the left, the right, Obama, Biden, and President Trump. And I'll take the beautiful skyscraper any day over the prison.
Well, yeah, look at it. It's the bright and sunny skies versus the dark and gloomy kind of situations, specifically at that building, the way it looks. I mean, Chicago has the sun as well and bright, beautiful skies on occasion. But the point is, that building, looks awful. And let's get back to you running for Congress. Let's talk about the heart of a number of things. Make America great again, make America healthy again, America first. At the heart and at the core of all of this is God, family, country, and freedom, is it not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I've been saying for years, I led pastors for Trump during the 2024 election, serving National Faith Advisory Board, White House Faith Office. If we're going to make America great again, we have to make America godly again. That's what made us great in the very first place. And so we have to return to our roots, which is one of the things I love about President Trump. A lot of people are unaware. May 17th, the president has asked Christians from all over the country to gather in D.C. at the National Mall, because we're going to rededicate our country back to God, because we've veered so far off the path. And so, that's why we have to be involved and we have to be engaged. People matter, and policy impacts people for better or for worse. And so I want people that are good people to represent us in DC to help policy be shaped that's going to benefit all of our lives.
And finally, let's talk about Oklahoma there. Can you talk to us about the primary coming up? Obviously, the midterms on November 3rd. What's your pitch to the people of Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's very simple. I believe I have a proven track record of bold leadership as a pastor, as a business owner, but also being involved in the political sphere. And so my objective, like I said, bring conservative values to D.C. and to advance America First policies, keeping our borders secure, removing illegal criminals off of our streets, not allowing Chinese Communist Party to own American farmland, not allowing Sharia law to take root. This is what I want to do. And the primary is June the 16th. And here in Oklahoma, whoever wins the primary wins the general. The general election in Oklahoma is the Republican primary. And so we need all the help we can get. JacksonLawmeyer.com. People can learn about my positions. They can also financially help us to win this very important race.
And you bring up a great point about June 16th. The primary is not just something to just let go of and just hope that the right person wins. You have to be involved.
Absolutely.
Jackson Lawmayer, being involved now, running for Congress in the great state of Oklahoma. Thanks so much again for joining us, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, it's 1:51 Eastern time. Congress, of course, debating the Save America Act as they're back from recess. So we'll see what happens there with that. Also, the DHS shutdown. Hopefully, DHS will open up fully and get fully funded. Hopefully, Congress will get that taken care of, along with a number of other things that we want to see in America as well. All right, it's 1:52, Tuesday, April 14th. Let's go to Cove Pier. Now, you've heard us talk about Cove Pier before, and if the water scares in Flint, Michigan, and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're the man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that is making some people upset out there. The EPA actually set legal limits for these PFAs in drinking water back in 2024, but water systems have until 2031 to comply. So that's a whole 5 years from now. So until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and it's not required to notify you. You're just drinking that water. So that's why a lot of houses, how about every house in America, needs Cove Pier. The government, knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making it have anybody acting on that yet, which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself. And Cove Pier specifically was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters you get at the store, their ClearWave technology, this reverse osmosis technology, is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those PFAs, the heavy metals, the fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pier is they make it so easy, it sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. And you can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. So don't wait until 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepier.com/RSBN, and you'll save $250 off right now to those of you that go to covepier.com/RSBN. All right, before we go to President Trump, from just within that 24/7 news cycle from just yesterday, a full 15-minute video of the inside baseball sorts of things that happen right outside the Oval Office with DoorDash. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side, including All Family Pharmacy. With everything going on in the world right now, supply chain issues, global instability, shortages that nobody's talking about, your access to medications is something that should just be on top of the mind there, because most people don't think about it until they need something and can't get it. And by then, it's just too late. So we've been recommending All Family Pharmacy for a while now, and this is exactly why. They're an independent American pharmacy that helps you stay stocked and prepared. They carry the hard-to-find medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, and NAD+, along with more than 400 everyday prescriptions for blood pressure, thyroid, diabetes, and more. And they make the whole process simple. If you already have a prescription, your doctor can send it straight to them. And if you don't have one, You go online, you fill out a quick form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, they handle the prescription and it ships right to your door. So this is about being prepared before you need it, not scrambling after the fact. The people who have what they need in a crisis are the ones who simply planned ahead. So you don't have to wait until the shelves are empty. You can get ahead of all of this now. You go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN to search for what you and your family might need and save 10% at checkout using that RSBN 10 promo code, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All right, before we go to that next video with President Trump from just yesterday, just double checking any of the top stories, top headlines, nothing breaking right this second in a sense of news that's right this second. A couple stories that I saw yesterday, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake in Silver Springs, Nevada. There were a number of aftershocks after that 5.7. Actually called Silver Springs, a couple places of some establishments out there just to see if everything was all right. That's that news nerd part of me that I like to know what's going on when it comes to specifics like an earthquake. It looks like everything was still okay. The businesses kept going. It wasn't like there was a bunch of buildings that came down or anything. On top of that, of course, the Republic of Alberta. That's something that people in Alberta, a majority of them it seems, wants to break away from Canada. That's something that's going on out there if you just want to check it out. For those of you that love freedom and love independence, that's what our country's all about. So it's great to see some of that happening in Alberta. That province along the Rocky Mountains there with Edmonton and Calgary and some other towns there. All right, let's get back to the States, shall we? Let's go to clip number 1, no tax on tips. White House video all about DoorDash just yesterday. Check it out.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. I have your DoorDash order for you, Mr. President.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. The reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 because the tax bill was so big. The refund was the biggest you've ever had. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I saved over $11,000.
It's really, you know, we call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. We should call it the Great Big Beautiful Tax Cut Bill because it's tremendous amounts of money.
And are the White House good tippers? Do you know?
Wait.
Potentially. Yes, very.
And I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you for the no tax on tips. It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. I have your DoorDash order for you, Mr. President.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. This doesn't look staged, does it?
They're all your favorites.
That's right. These are good. DoorDash is doing a good job. So, the reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 that you didn't get because the tax bill was so big. The refund was the biggest you've ever had. Is that a correct statement?
It definitely was. Yeah, I saved over $11,000 by not having to claim.
Was that surprising to you?
It was very surprising. Very surprising.
The Great Big Beautiful Bill. And that doesn't include overtime in your case. This is only just based on what we did in terms of every other aspect of the tax bill, right?
Yes, sir.
So it was $11,000 saving.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that incredible? And that's what it is. The tax cut, it's really, you know, we call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. We should call it the Great Big Beautiful Tax Cut Bill because it's tremendous amounts of money. And that's overtime. That's also on Social Security, as you know.
Yes.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is.
Well, you're really nice. Would you like to do a little news conference with me with these people? These are not the nicest people. They're not nice like you. You know that, right?
do whatever you ask me to do, sir.
So the no tax on tips is something special, right?
It's very special.
And that's the one that really pertains to you more than anything else.
Yes, sir.
It's fantastic. It's such an honor to meet you. And I think you voted for me, do you think?
Maybe.
I heard you're a great supporter, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll put this over here, and why don't we have a news conference with the press?
Okay.
Want to do it?
Sure.
You don't have to stay safe too much. I think they're looking about Hormuz Strait and various other things. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very serious cancer treatment, so
yes,
this goes a long way.
Yes, sir, it sure does.
Mr. President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance there?
Well, he's done a good job, and Steve and Jared, they've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly, very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear, very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Mr. President, as far as the naval blockade is concerned, what's the end game? Is it to force Iran back to the negotiating table? Is it to open up the strait so that gas prices ultimately come down?
Maybe everything. I mean, both of those things, certainly, and more. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen. And you know, the amazing thing is, we don't, can you believe this? We don't use the strait. We don't need the strait. We have our own oil and gas, much more than we need. We have more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia. Think of this. We produce more. Saudi Arabia, and add Russia to it. Substantially more. And by next year, we'll have double that amount. So we don't need it, but the world needs it. And many ships are heading to our country right now as we speak to load up with the best, really, I guess you could say, somebody said the best and sweetest. I don't know exactly what sweet is, but when it relates to oil, it's a good thing. But they're coming to our country right now. There are many boats coming to our country. Now, it could very well be this is going to be settled before that. We've been called this morning by the right people, the appropriate people, and they want to work a deal. They would like to work a deal.
Is it your anticipation, Mr. President, that other countries will assist in this effort to blockade Iran and those specific
Yeah, other countries are going to also.
Which countries, sir?
We don't need other countries, frankly, but they've offered the services. We'll let it be known probably tomorrow.
Has the blockade started, sir?
Yeah, started 10 o'clock.
Bishop Robert Barron supports you and your policies. He praises you for defending religious freedom.
Yeah.
He now says you owe Pope Leo an apology. Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo, and you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. Now you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country, but we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years. Since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that. So there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong. And the other thing is he didn't like what we're doing with respect to Iran, but Iran is wants to be a nuclear nation so they can exterminate the world. Not going to happen.
If the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan to charge a toll to use the Strait of Hormuz?
Has your timetable changed in any way in terms of ending this conflict?
No,
It's
it's going on. Right now, there's no fighting. Right now, we have a blockade. They're doing no business. I didn't like seeing boats come out if they were doing business with Iran, but if they weren't, no boats came out. So now Iran is doing absolutely no business, and we're going to keep it that way very easily. Don't forget, their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. It's a lot.
Do you still want to charge a toll?
Coming from predominantly going to China, Mr. President, has Xi Jinping reached out? And maybe it could be...
No, but we have a very good relationship with China. He would like to see this ended also. He certainly wants it ended. Everyone, I want to see it ended too, but we can't give a nuclear weapon to a group of people that have caused nothing but havoc for 47 years. Look, I'm the president that's done something about it. This should have been, and many other presidents regret that they didn't. You know, so I'm doing something.
President, Ukraine impeachment documents that were just declassified show that Eric Ciaramella not only submitted false information, but that he had no direct knowledge of the alleged conversation. It was all hearsay. Do you feel vindicated by those documents?
Yeah, I do. They're a bunch of crooked people. You're talking about with respect to all of the things that they put against me? Yeah. Well, it's come out that in so many different ways. Thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it. But in so many different ways, the election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. We found that out. What you just said is just a piece of that. It's a big piece, but minor, relatively speaking, compared to what they did. They cheated on the election. They cheated on the vote. And they cheated in every way possible. And it's the only way we got an incompetent man to be a president. And he was an incompetent man. Many of the things that we're talking about, even including this would have been settled a long time ago, not now. And it should have been settled by other presidents. But the election was a rigged election. We can't let that happen to our country.
It's concealment of exculpatory information. What should happen?
Well, it's a very serious charge against them and the Democrats. They cheat. They can't get elected with their policy. So their policy is no good. They want to have, open borders. They want to have men playing in women's sports. Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about no tax on tips.
Yeah.
Mr. President, maybe know your name, please.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it your understanding that during this period of time, while the U.S. has instituted this naval blockade, that oil companies will be able to send their oil tankers through the strait, get more oil out from this area?
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing very well there, and I think they're doing very well here. You know, a lot of tankers are coming up here. They're coming in empty and out full. And we have a great capacity to take care of that business.
Ma'am, may we know your name, please? Have you delivered to the White House before?
I have not. My name is Sharon Simmons.
And are the White House good tempers? Do you know?
Wait.
Potentially. Yes, very.
Mr. President, can I ask you something
That's
about
good.
Cuba?
Thank you. You reminded me.
Mr. President, one on Cuba, sir. You previously said that you had no problem with countries sending fuel to Cuba after previously promising to tariff them. What happened? What changed?
Well, we're going to see with Cuba. Cuba's another story. Cuba's been a terribly run country for a long time. It's got a bad system. It's been very oppressive, as you know. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, all of whom just about voted for me. And they were treated very badly. In many cases, family members have been killed. They've been beaten up and mugged, and terrible things happened in Cuba. And Cuba's a failing nation. And we're going to do this, and we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this. But Cuba is a nation that was just been horribly run for many years by Castro.
You say based on why would you change your mind?
Regarding those two recent referrals for Letitia James for insurance fraud, do you know if federal prosecutors had evidence to charge?
Well, I don't know. I know she's a very corrupt person. And you're talking about the so-called Attorney General of New York. She's a very corrupt person. That's been proven now. And I know I have nothing to do with it, but they're looking at things all over the place, more than one state, concerning her and concerning people like Comey, who's a dirty cop. Comey's a dirty cop, and dirty cops are bad. Nobody likes the police more than me, law enforcement more than me, but Comey's a totally dirty cop, and we're not gonna stand for it. Yeah.
The UFC fight that's happening at the White House this summer. The UFC typically numbers those fights consecutively, but should they label this one UFC 1776?
That's a good idea. I'll tell that to Dana White. I like that idea. I will say I've been involved with a lot of big events. I've never had an event that's had more interest in the UFC fight that we have right at the front door. Right there, they're going to start building about a 4,500 seat arena, and then in the back at the Ellipse, we're going to have maybe 100,000, 50 to 100,000 people. I guess they're building tremendous stages, and you're going to have massive screens of the fight. And it's a very popular sport. But I have never been involved because of the White House and everything. There's a lot of reasons for it. But we're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door. And if you want, is your husband up to coming? Do you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come. Okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's better than the tip I just gave you. That's a lot better. But no, if he's feeling good, right? Yeah. Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book.
Go ahead, give him the name. Maybe
he hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
good guy.
Doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years. But we've, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
that's very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
well, I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
For the no tax on tips.
No, that's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it.
That's so nice. The one thing that I just in leaving, we've had more good press for change, having to do with the fact that people are receiving more money from their tax refunds than they ever thought possible. We had a man the other day got $5,000, another one got $7,000. They weren't expecting anything like this, and it's because of the great, big, beautiful bill. And that's why you came, and I really appreciate it. And tell your husband to get better.
I will.
And if he's feeling good, you'll come up and you'll watch that fight.
All
okay,
right.
June 14th.
I appreciate it.
All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any update on DOJ, though,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President? Who you went to lead DOJ? Any update on who you went to lead DOJ, who you're going to nominate?
Well, I think Todd, as far as doing a fantastic job, I will say that. He's a great lawyer. I know that because he's been with me a long time. And so far, he's doing a great job. But we have incredible people in the DOJ, getting better all the time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. You want to come in for a second?
Okay. Come on in. Thank you.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Robert McNeely. Thank you to Matthew Alvarez holding down the fort and great coverage in the first hour as we cover the latest from the White House. And we wish Joe the best. The DoorDash grandma, her husband, going through that cancer battle right now. And that invitation from President Trump for UFC 328 or beyond, that might be in his future. President Trump, promises made, promises kept. We know that he does love those UFC fights. But speaking of no tax on tips and tax day tomorrow, April 15th, the favorite day of the year for Washington, D.C. Democrats, smart to look out for. Kalshi.com/RSBN, one of our great sponsors here at the network, for questions on trending political markets, like who will be the next Republican nominee for President of the United States come 2028? Will it be the Vice President, J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, or Senator Ted Cruz, perhaps Governor Ron DeSantis, or someone else in a field that is really growing somewhat by the day? Now, right now in the midterms, it's more of those echoes and whispers, but even Senator Rand Paul of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, very interested in throwing his hat in the ring once again, as he did in 2016. Trade on the most important events right there at kalshi.com/RSBN. Go ahead, scan that QR code there for music, sports, culture, politics, and more. You might as well take some of that tax refund money that many people are getting, especially those who are working for tips, including DoorDash, to use to trade and bet at kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, we have another great sponsor at Rumble Wallet. What's great about Kalshi and Rumble, they actually can work together for tipping your favorite creators with crypto, but also making those bets at Kalshi. In addition to the Rumble Wallet and all its utilities, you can download for free Google Play Store or the App Store right now, where free speech meets financial freedom. Tether Gold, Bitcoin, other cryptos can be used to, again, tip your favorite content creators and those new media icons, and even us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, as we are viewer supported. Rumble really deserves our support because way back when President Trump in the first term thrown off of social medias from Facebook to X, which was Twitter before Elon Musk purchased it, these were platforms that were censoring people. And the average American, who the elites deemed on the wrong side of history and could not have an opinion, were simply turned off. But that fight for free speech leading to Truth Social, leading to the growth of X and other platforms, but also the scary reality that banks, corporate entities, and powers that be can literally turn off your bank account if they don't agree with what you're saying or don't like what you're saying, to get the truth out there. Hence the Rumble Wallet. At wallet.rumble.com, you can have those savings and retirement and everything you worked hard for protected with this diverse crypto platform. Even Rumble itself cannot break into the Rumble Wallet. So visit today, wallet.rumble.com, or download for free at the Google Play Store or the App Store. Tip your favorite content creators, including us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, with the Rumble Wallet. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history, where free speech meets financial freedom. As we cover the latest from the Trump White House, President Trump releasing a slew of endorsements with cut number 2. And a gentleman in the great state of Idaho. We do love that state. It's a beautiful place out west. Scott Bedke, the lieutenant governor, in fact, who has been very successful in 2016, 2020, 2024. President Trump winning big in those elections. President Trump continuing that this very successful businessman, cattle rancher, and highly respected Speaker of the Idaho House prior to becoming a very distinguished lieutenant governor, working with the wonderful Governor Brad Little and outstanding Senator Jim Risch. And also Scott has dedicated his life to serving his community. Scott is fighting tirelessly to grow our economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in the USA, unleashing American energy dominance, keeping that border secure, stopping migrant crime, and champion of our amazing farmers and ranchers, strengthening the military and veterans, protecting our always under siege Second Amendment. Scott Bedke has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. We can go over to the great state of Nevada, where President Trump will be on Thursday, and cut number 3 with Stavros Anthony. Has been a fantastic lieutenant governor for the great people of Nevada, a highly respected police officer, civic leader, and Las Vegas city council member, now a distinguished lieutenant governor working with the outstanding Governor Joe Lombardo. Stavros has proven he has the courage and wisdom to deliver strong results for the incredible people of his wonderful state and nation. He is working hard to grow our economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote no tax on tips, advance Made in the USA, unleashing that American energy dominance, and championing the school choice, keeping our border safe, stopping migrant crime, ensuring law and order, while always protecting our under siege Second Amendment. Stavros Anthony has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. He will never let you down. As President Trump taking aim, of course, peacefully and patriotically, at the failing New York Times. And cut number 4 with their latest antics. For those people that still read the New York Times, and despite the fact that Iran has been totally obliterated militarily and otherwise, you won't think that Iran is actually winning, or at the very least doing quite well. But that's not true. The New York Times knows that it's fake news. When does this corrupt media outlet apologize for their lies and horrible actions against me, my supporters, and our country? They have no shame. The country itself, really, they like to put it in the crosshairs. Have they no sense of decency? President Donald J. Trump sharing that on Truth Social as 34 ships going through the strait yesterday during the blockade. 34 ships went through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, which is by far the highest number since the foolish closure began. So that back on April 12th happening as President Trump sharing those updates. Sometimes you get a different response from the fake news media. Continuing on Truth Social, the Wall Street Journal, and President Trump stating that our powerful case against the Wall Street Journal and other defendants was asked to be refiled by the judge. It is not a termination. It is a suggested refiling, and we will be, as per the order, refiling an updated lawsuit on or before April 27th. So we'll watch that very closely as Iran's Navy has been decimated, laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated 158 ships. What we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships, because we do not consider them much of a threat. Now, there's a warning. If any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated using the same system of kill that we use against the drug dealers on boats at sea. It's quick, it's brutal. P.S. 98.2% of the drugs coming into the United States by ocean or seas have dropped. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And as you saw the video earlier, DoorDash getting a bit of a break with those no tax on tips. In case you missed any of the highlights, back to yesterday, President Trump calling for a press conference and surprising the press pool at the White House as he got one of his favorites, McDonald's.
You deliver in the rain.
Perfect, thank you.
Snow.
Thank you.
Sleet. Thank you. Heat.
Go enjoy. Oh, thank you so
You
much.
keep America moving, one doorstep at a time. Every delivery, a promise to a customer. But for too long, your government hasn't delivered for you. This tax season, that's changed. Thanks to President Trump's working family tax cuts, you'll keep more of your hard-earned money. No tax on tips. He promised, and he delivered. You go the extra mile for your customers. Now your tax return goes the extra mile for you.
What is your favorite? Is it Uber Eats or DoorDash? Write to us at feedback@rsbn.tv if you wish to opine. I have to be honest with you, I have not used either, but I love the hardworking men and women of both companies, and they deserve no tax on tips, especially having been in the service industry for a number of years, especially right after college. I know how those no tax on tips can really make a difference in countless American lives. Now, President Trump at Fight Night back on Saturday, and of course, Joe, DoorDash Grandma's husband, will ideally be at the next one with President Trump. He sent out that invitation as he's going through his own valiant fight against cancer, praying and thinking about him as this president on Saturday enjoying the fight night in Miami, Florida. And UFC loves him too. Dana White, the great CEO of the company, Joe Rogan on the call. A packed house down there in the free Sunshine State. with everything going on in the world, global instability, Operation Epic Fury, to the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. President Trump meeting with President Xi next month in the communist nation. What are you to do when supply chain issues hit, when the global instability and shortages happen, and with a failing dollar as well? You have to think about your health, and too many Americans let this go to the wayside when dealing with their health care. So smart to be prepared. Have that medicine cabinet stocked up and ready to go with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. When it's too late and the urgent care is too long and your doctor is not available, smart to have 400 plus essential medications and maintenance medications on hand in case you're feeling ill or experiencing cold and flu, one of the largest numbers we have seen over the course of this year alone. There are things like antibiotics to antivirals, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue, and much, much more, including those maintenance meds that can deal with blood pressure, to thyroid issues, and diabetes, amongst others. Now, they make it simple. If you have a prescription, your doctor can send it in to a U.S. licensed doctor on the other end to review. And if you value convenience, this goes out in a couple of days or even quicker, right out of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, and to you as they use UPS to get it there fast to your door from where you ordered it. No red tape, no bureaucracy. If you don't have insurance, no problem at all. All Family Pharmacy also offering with code RSBN10, RSBN10, 10% off site-wide today. So do not delay, don't scramble, get prepared. And even in this season of spring and allergies going around, nasal sprays available to make sure you get through the springtime and enjoy the beautiful weather and the blooming plants outside, especially those gorgeous flowers in Washington, D.C. The cherry blossoms looking extraordinary this time of year. Scan the QR code there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10 for 10% off. Continuing with your health, finances can make a big difference on a daily basis. As the dollar goes down, what are you to do? Well, I would say diversify with gold from the best in the business. It's Birch Gold Group. Diversify that IRA or 401k and get that free info kit on gold now. Great endorsers of this fine company. In fact, the best in the business, Dr. Ron Paul, former congressman from the great Lone Star State of Texas, and libertarian and conservative thought leader over the course of the last several decades. Also, Ben Shapiro, to Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, and also Steve Bannon, great warriors in their own right for the conservative movement. They trust Birch Gold to help you diversify in that tax-sheltered IRA account and to make your savings and retirement a little bit smoother as you're looking at all of the calamity that exists in the world. Text Trump to 989898 and find out how the one shoe size does not fit all in regards to this. This is really personalized to you, and the experts on the other side want you to experience that. You have to ask the question as to why places like JP Morgan Chase buying up silver, other governments around the world, including our own, buying up some gold and having it in their own respective federal reserves. Text Trump to 989898. Get started today. Do not delay. The Birch Gold Group, happy to partner with them here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As we cover the latest from the Trump White House, inside and outside of the Beltway, the First Lady is up to some work, as she normally is. She works almost as hard, if not just as hard, as President Donald Trump for the American people and for safely securing your rights online, especially the Take It Down Act, changing the whole ballgame when it comes to people who are exploited online, especially minors, as we had that success, the first conviction in Columbus, Ohio last week. In addition to that, she is a wonderful ambassador for this great nation of ours, and we saw her at that Easter egg roll speaking to the children, reading to them on that Easter Monday. But the First Lady authorizing landmark art loan to spotlight American master James McNeill Whistler. Now, it is with great honor that I share the First Lady speaking. Whistler's masterpiece, Nocturne, to be enjoyed by art lovers all over the world. It is important to the international art community to experience America's extraordinary wealth of talent of fine arts. Specifically, certainly Mr. Whistler is one of America's greatest. James McNeill Whistler's Nocturne will be removed from the Treaty Room and included in a comprehensive exhibition devoted to the great American painter by Tate Britain and Van Gogh Museums. So we have that in conjunction. The two museums are planning their first full career exhibition devoted to Mr. James McNeill Whistler, who was born in 1834, living until 1903, in Europe in 30 years. So the loan to Tate Britain and the Van Gogh Museum would mark an exceptionally rare international lease from the White House and the United States of America, its specific collection coming from the building right behind me at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is typically shared only with select U.S. institutions, such as the Smithsonian and the National Art Gallery. Now, the First Lady and President Trump hosting King Willem-Alexander, Queen Maxima, and also Prime Minister Rob Jetten of the Netherlands for dinner at the White House on Monday evening, and this was a big topic of conversation. Our Dutch friends visiting the White House, we have video playback of that on this broadcast we'll show a bit later. Now, the Whistler retrospective launches in London, Amsterdam, and Washington in May, so just a couple of weeks away. May, the best month of the entire calendar year. The important painting is to be returned to the White House collection in summer of 2027. So thank you to First Lady Melania Trump, her office, the Office of the White House, for this information, as we look forward to potentially seeing it ourselves here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And with that, cut number 10, the President of the United States, the First Lady of the United States, welcoming the Dutch King and Queen on Monday evening.
I'm thinking of those guys over there. My Prime Minister come along with us here. Beautiful tulips out there. Oh, so that is tulips, flowers there. Maybe we can take one picture here with us.
Nice to see the media over the last little while. Everything okay? Highly respected people. Treat them nicely, please.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Monica Crowley, the Chief Deputy of Protocol, also on hand as she's operating a very essential role in the office with those world leaders. As I'm hearing, it was a lovely evening at the White House. In case you missed it, of course, the DoorDash hitting the Oval Office. We saw the replays, we saw the excitement around it, but did you catch the behind the scenes and the lead up to the moment of President Trump receiving McDonald's at the beautiful front door of the Oval Office? That playback for you now.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. I have your DoorDash order for you, Mr. President.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. The reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 because the tax bill was so big. The refund was the biggest you've ever had. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I saved over $11,000.
It's really, you know, we call it the great big beautiful bill. We should call it the great big beautiful tax cut bill because it's tremendous amounts of money.
And are the White House good tippers? Do you know?
Wait.
Potentially. Yes, very.
And I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you for the no tax on tips. It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it, and I think I might get McDonald's today because I have not eaten yet. So we look forward to that after the show. President Trump having fun there with DoorDash and the great people who really fuel America, literally, behind the wheel and getting them what's the essentials in this program to have food delivered right to your door. What a time to be alive. We're very grateful for Kalshi.com/RSBN, where you can trade and bet on those growing questions around the country, whether it's trending political markets to also sports, culture, music, and more. Who will be the 2028 Republican nominee for President of the United States? It's somewhat of a sad day. I don't want to think about January 2029, President Trump to potentially leave office after that second term. So who will be his successor? Will it be his Vice President, J.D. Vance, Secretary Rubio, perhaps Senator Ted Cruz, or even Governor DeSantis? Or will someone emerge like a Senator Rand Paul out of the Commonwealth of Kentucky? Or maybe a neocon will attempt to take back what was the Bush Republican Party? Aren't these days so much better than when George W. Bush was in office? I know for me, much better to be a Republican now than it was way back when it was a globalist neocon party. But we know Nikki Haley and others, they might just take a stab at it, peacefully and patriotically speaking. So trade on the most important events affecting you and yours. Baseball in full swing. Also, the Masters just happening with Rory McIlroy going back-to-back in 2025 and 2026, the fourth man to do so, following the likes of legends Jack Nicklaus, Sir Nick Faldo, there, and of course, the American great Tiger Woods. And you can make trades and bets on all of those big events right there at Kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, make sure that gut health is in order. Now, drinking out of the tap can lead to real problems, especially if you're living in those blue cities that really don't take care of their infrastructure, that don't take care of clean air and clean water. We saw Flint, Michigan, remember that crisis? With the lead poisoning in the water system. Scary stuff, from PFAS to microplastics. Also, agricultural runoff, pesticides, medical residue, as disgusting as that is, that could be in your tap water as I'm talking to you right now. Go with covepure.com/RSBN. Drink pure, live pure. With their reverse osmosis leading technology called ClearWave, removing 99.9% of the impurities out of the water. Protect what matters most, as you can see with the model and that display there. This is no larger than your coffee maker I'm sure you have at home, sitting on your kitchen counter or in your den. And to have hot water, cold water, cool, lukewarm water, at the touch of a fingertip, ready to go. Such an amazing essential to use for your entire family. if you are renting as well. No need for pipes, for drills, for a plumber to come over, so you'll get that security deposit back when you're taking care of your space. Also, if you drink tea, great to have it nice and hot, ready to go as you're trying to get out that door or enjoy your evening, and you don't have to wait for it to steep. As you can see there, going up to 170 instantly. So very efficient. Also, the important thing, if you have little ones at home, they like to drink out of the tap water. As the temperatures get warmer, I know my nieces enjoy doing this, going out to the hose outside and drinking from the water like they're a bunch of goofballs. Well, the problem is with that, JAMA Pediatrics put out a study that students drinking from the tap water on a regular basis can lose 2 points or more in their IQs. And with all of that COVID learning loss, we cannot learn more. It's a national security issue right here at home. And Secretary Kennedy, among others who have dedicated their lives to clean air and clean water, especially litigating it at the highest levels, are big fans of covepure.com/RSBN and truly have been vindicated in their life's work. Get $250 off right now, covepure.com/RSBN. Scan that QR code there, and you might as well just keep your health going and save your life in the process with this reverse osmosis machine leading the way. It's Clearwave technology, covepure.com/RSBN. As we continue to cover the latest from the Trump White House and the Congress back in session after 2 weeks off for Easter, we know the issues from California with Eric Swalwell. We know with Mr. Gonzalez in the Lone Star State of Texas, looking at imminent resignation or extradition from the House, as Congresswoman Ana Paulino Luna posting, one of our friends here at Right Side Broadcasting Network from the great free sunshine state of Florida, that 2 of the worst and most corrupt are gone. This is a good day for the United States Congress. Now, we'll see a date set for that, and we know that this is the narrowest of narrow majorities in the House of Representatives. So we'll watch those unfolding stories as we go along. But speaking of tax day, saving money, and this president revitalizing the American economy, do you have a young one in the family, roughly just born over the course of the last year, or that's even 10 years old? You know, these Trump accounts, really amazing how you and your company and even the government, public and private partnerships, can invest in Americans' futures. By the time they're 18, being ready to pay for college, go into a trade, or even end up a low millionaire with all of the savings from these Trump accounts. It's very exciting to see this as getting a leg up for Americans just born. And cut number 12, reminding those at the trumpaccounts.gov how much they could do with their children at home to get them prepared as they grow up and get older.
Yeah, it's what my Trump account looks like. All mine, baby. When a baby is born, money gets invested in their name, and then it just sits there, growing. While I'm still learning shapes, years go by, and when I'm growing up, the money grows up too. One day I could use it for college, to buy a house, or maybe to start my own company. I'm building wealth, and I can't even walk yet. Boom. All you babies out there, make sure you get signed up.
And although I do not have any children of my own, many friends do, and it's exciting to see as they continue to grow up in this golden era, the life that will be helped provided by common sense policies finally coming out of Washington, D.C. under Republican MAGA leadership, led by a businessman who's clear-eyed on the future, leaving a lasting legacy for those generations to come. And it's with those no tax on tips and the ultimate UFC invite we've been talking about in cut number 14, where this president is fighting for the American worker.
We're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door. And you know, if you want, is your husband up to coming? You're there? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you. That's a lot better. But no, if he's feeling good, right? Yeah. Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book. And
go ahead, give him the name. Maybe yourself.
He hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
good guy.
Doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years.
Oh, that's
But
good.
we've, you know, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, let's say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better and he's going to be good.
yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you for the no tax on tips.
That's great.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see the tender side of this president, which is really 24/7. He cares about the American people. That's why he did this in the first place. I've experienced it myself. He's so curious about getting to know people, and it's probably a big reason for his success, not only in private life in New York City, but now also in the highest office in the entire land as the 45th and 47th President of the United States. Continuing with this video, very short, President Trump's statement on Iran following the DoorDash doorbell.
If the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan?
There are plenty of questions out there with global instability to a dollar that is failing, gold skyrocketing, but do you have your health care in order? Sometimes we let that go to the wayside when things are going well, when we're nice and healthy, but you need those maintenance meds. You need 400 plus ready to go and to choose from with the off-label, generic, and pharmaceutical leader online. It's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN with no red tape and no bureaucracy. Simply your doctor reaching out to their U.S. licensed doctor to review your order and get that prescription to your door and fulfilled within a matter of days, even a couple of days. It goes very quickly when you order at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Things like antibiotics to antivirals, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, and methylene blue, to much, much more. Nasal sprays, so good this time of year with the allergies happening in the spring season, but also Tamiflu, smart to have on hand with the fluctuating temperatures and the cold and flu really ravaging many in the first few months of 2026. Emergency medical kits, good to have on the road as you travel for your spring break and also for your Easter gatherings. It's a 50-day celebration and there's so much to be joyful for, so make sure the cold and flu stay away this time of year. You can save 10% off right now. Code RSBN10, yes, code RSBN10. Save 10% right now at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. We are also extremely grateful for Birch Gold Group. Protect yourself financially. Your savings, a tax-sheltered IRA, or 401k, smart to do with the best in the business. Get that free info kit right now, and there you can see in a quick read why JP Morgan Chase buying up silver for their banks. Why would they do that if the dollar was so strong? Gold being bought up by countries around the world and hoarded within their own respective federal reserves and their big banks. So you have to ask why that's happening in the private and public sector with the so-called elites. Make sure you have access to it as well. Gold skyrocketing in 2 decades, over 700%. We've seen this trend over centuries, thousands of years, where gold and silver and tangible metals have helped diversify incomes and really the hedge against inflation. Text Trump to 989898 to get started. It is not one size shoe fits all, but rather they will dive into these experts where it matters most. If this is even an appropriate move for you right now in diversification. But in addition to properties, even the emerging threats of crypto with that on the horizon, both public and private, and the talk of digital currencies around the world that governments want to implement, be sure that your savings aren't turned off with the click of a button. Gold, silver, tangible metals protecting you along that way. Diversify with them today. Text Trump to 989898. Thank you to Birch Gold Group for sponsoring us on the right side of history. I don't like to do it. Give free political advice based on my career because I've been in the arena, if you will, and I understand a thing or two about local, state to federal politics and what it means when you enter that arena and you're marred by the sweat and blood and the fight that Teddy Roosevelt once spoke of so famously in his eloquent way. But President Trump and Republicans, and I think many of them understand it, if there is one advertisement they could share throughout this entire campaign season for the midterms of 2026, it's this one. In case you missed it, cut number 13, the largest applause perhaps from the Republican side of the aisle and a very quiet Democrat side, even without 70 members did not attend inside of the House chamber for the State of the Union. But President Trump asked a simple question. Do you support citizens, residents of this great country, or do you support illegal aliens over them? And the camera caught all of the action.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And if you're wondering who that lovely lady in red on the Democrat side was, it was actually Republican Kat Cammack, a real MAGA warrior who was outstanding at CPAC and a new mom as well, really juggling those commitments to being mom and full-time working mom there in the Congress, which Speaker Mike Johnson, by her own words and account, stating that he's made it smoother for working moms to be members of Congress. And we're happy to see that here on the right side of history. But she wanted to sit with her Democrat colleagues and even Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to really break some bread. But as you saw there, what a staggering difference. The Democrat Party in Washington, D.C., not the voters in America, putting criminal illegal aliens, as we detailed on the show yesterday, committing horrible crimes throughout this country. Now around 3 million being deported in the second term, and it continues as this border is now secure and safe. And our many thanks to the FBI, the DOJ, border security, Tom Homan especially, former Secretary Kristi Noem, former Attorney General Pam Bondi, their successors all working hard towards law and order in this country. And we know FBI Director Kash Patel, as we highlighted on Monday as well, the work he's doing at the FBI to safely secure this country. That's why government exists in the first place, to secure the American homeland. At the local and state level, it's through the police. At the federal level, some police, but also the military, as we are seeing in their success in Operation Epic Fury, as we continue to pray for that success. And it's important to highlight what some people are saying out there with so much of this discussion surrounding this alleged rivalry between Pope Leo XIV and President Donald Trump, making very clear their statements, as they have the right to do, on one another. But Totus Tuus caught my eye, a group on Facebook, which means in Latin, totally yours. It was something that the late, great St. Pope John Paul II implemented as part of Marian devotions within the Catholic Church and outside of that to really find in their vocational journeys in each country as he continued to go to those World Youth Days throughout the world. Someone who inspired countless millions, perhaps even billions, in finding their own vocation, serving the Lord. Be not afraid. That was his message. And with him and President Ronald Reagan and Prime Minister Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher of the UK, they all helped defeat communism in that process. And the Catholic Church has never been pacifist in an absolute sense, nor does it glorify war. Instead, it's rooted in the fifth commandment, you shall not kill. And the gospel call to peace, but the church teaches its citizens and all governments are obliged to work in avoidance of war. But this war, this just war, the church is not against it. And sadly, we have leaders right now who are saying otherwise, including Robert McElroy of Washington, D.C., His Eminence, the Cardinal. And it's sad that they would not teach proper doctrine according to the Catholic Catechism. And as a Catholic, I can say that because I've seen it, I studied it, and it's sad that we have some leadership that is going the other direction in this great struggle to stop an Iranian regime that has really killed and maimed Americans, military and civilian, over the last 47 years. On a very bright note, we are joined by congressional candidate Catalina Lauf of the great Sunshine State of Florida, District 19. Catalina, great to have you on the show. First of all, love to ask you why Catalina Lauf to succeed Byron Donalds in the 19th Congressional District of the free Sunshine State of Florida.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. You know, it really comes down to we need more fighters in office. We need people who are unapologetic about fighting for the American people, making sure that we have common sense legislation being pushed out of Congress, making sure we have America First fighters that are implementing the Trump agenda, which the mandate made clear that President Trump's America First agenda is what the American people want, then why is Congress so backwards sometimes? And I also wanted to mention, you know, everything that's going on right now in the news and the scope right now, the microscope being under Congress in particular, we need to make sure that we have real servant leadership there now. You know, for far too long, the American people, I myself as a voter too, have been fed up with the way the choices that we've had in members of Congress. Byron Donalds is an incredible member of Congress. I'd be an honor to succeed him, and we are working very hard to do so coming up in this August primary.
Yes, and he's running for governor of your great state of Florida. Not far from your district, Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna taking to X and speaking on the fact that Eric Swalwell of California and Mr. Gonzalez of the Lone Star State of Texas, looks like their congressional careers are ending. And to your point, Catalina, why are we seeing certain people, certain choices that are really poor for Americans across the country, regardless of the letter next to their name?
I'm so happy you asked that. You know, first of all, Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna has been a fierce Trump ally, an incredible fighter, and I've been so impressed with the way she has handled so many tough topics, especially when it comes to calling out both Republicans and Democrats. You know, it's not about politics per se anymore. It's about the virtue and integrity of people who are in positions of power in the institution of Congress. I'm honored to be endorsed by Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna. It's clear that she needs more allies up there also to be fighting against this. And I'm so impressed with the way she has been, again, calling out both sides. You know, and this is the issue, though. A lot of these guys get in primaries. A lot of these people, a lot of the stuff, the allegations, and these are patterns of behavior. And unfortunately, people need to be paying more attention to who they're electing. And so, you know, in my primary alone, I have two former members of Congress who were disgraced. You know, both of them have had their own records of unethical behavior, have had their run-ins with the law. One was federally indicted insider trading. The other one was primaried out because of, horrible ethical allegations. And so when these people try to make a comeback, for example, in a very Republican seat, when you have a honorable congressman like Byron Donalds, and then you have dishonorable people trying to then take a seat like this over, it becomes very important for people to pay attention in primaries in particular.
It distracts from good policy as well, because every once in a while you see that that it's meant to have debate in the House. It's meant to have great debate in the Senate. Secretary Rubio speaking on that during his tenure in the United States Senate. And I was curious on your thoughts as the House has done its job not only on the Save America Act and really pushing through some great legislation as Congress is getting back from 2 weeks at recess for Easter, but the War Powers Act, Iran. Where do you stand on that? And should Congress have more of the say of the yes or no, or is President Trump within his Article 2 powers to execute this as Commander-in-Chief?
I first wanted to address your point about Congress in general. The American people want things done for them. They want lower taxes. They want to be able to live affordable lives. They want to be able to really to be able to provide for their families. But when you have Congress not doing their job, and then you have members who are out there, having these baggage, having this drama, having these scandals, you're right, it's absolutely a distraction, and it's to the detriment of the American people. We need very focused, serious policy in office today. And then when it comes to the War Powers Act, I believe President Trump is within his constitutional jurisdiction when it comes to Iran. I do believe that he first and foremost has the power to make sure that any sort of threats or any of the time where American interests are involved, it is his role as Commander-in-Chief to step forward. I am not aware of certain intelligence or things like that as a member of Congress would be. And so to the extent of what I know and understand about both the Constitution and the particular Iran case, I believe President Trump is well within his powers.
And with the Save America Act as well, with the Republicans pushing this through the House and the Senate seemingly holding this up now, there's really a reason why people are moving to the Southeast, especially Florida, because of the common sense Republican MAGA policies we are seeing in the free Sunshine State and really throughout the Southeast, where, oh my goodness, most states you actually have to show an ID to vote. So why is this so apprehensive to certain Republicans and Democrats, at least on the Senate side?
Yeah, this is one of those policy issues that the majority of Americans, Republican and Democrat, and probably people who don't affiliate with either party, overwhelmingly support. So when you have something that both sides of people of all walks of life overwhelmingly support, we're united on it. But then how come Senate is divided on it when we are in a representative democracy? They work for us. Senators work for we, the people. So why are they not putting through legislation that we, the people, believe in? And it's because I believe the majority of them are playing politics. Most of the Democrats, for sure, wouldn't be there if it weren't for illegals voting in this country. Clearly, those Republicans who are against this bill or are in many ways blocking it are also probably wouldn't be there if it weren't for some sort of, base that is part of the Democratic Party, and that's really sad to me. Again, we need more servant leaders in office. I'm sick of this, these political games. We need to go back to serving the people. And I think that coming up here soon, again, we need to get involved in Republican primaries. We need to elect the right people in office. And we really need to be able to come together and push bipartisan legislation, especially when the American people overwhelmingly support something like the Save America Act.
And where can our viewers find your great campaign? A big primary coming up in the 19th.
Yes, the primary is August 18th, CatalinaForCongress.com and Catalina Lauf on all social media platforms. If you are in Southwest Florida, elect a fighter, elect a servant leader, and help us get through this primary. We are indebted to your support.
And we need more common sense MAGA like you. It's Catalina Lauf running for Congress in the 19th Congressional District. Once again, August 18th, Southwest Florida, going to be a big primary across the free Sunshine State. Come back and see us soon at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thanks so much.
And as we covered the latest from the Trump White House, inside and outside of the Beltway, we are always happy to have you here, the viewer, and a big thank you to all of you who have been so faithful throughout the years. RSBN viewer supported, rsbnetwork.com/donate, where we are taking on the mainstream narratives, where we're letting you decide by showcasing all of the speeches, all of the press conferences, all of the hearings in real time, in full, and you can go back and watch those replays as we're on your favorite social media streaming site, whether it be YouTube to Rumble, to X or others. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. But you can donate at rsbnetwork.com/donate or send check or money order to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, the loveliest village on the plains. It's Auburn, Alabama, 36830. And as we are here in the Yellowhammer State, that address once again, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for supporting us on the right side of history. Those great views from the 2024 campaign. Hey, we're back at it Friday, Phoenix, Arizona. Looking forward to President Trump to address State 48. You could also like, share, and subscribe via our newsletter at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Tell a friend or two today on this gorgeous Tuesday, April 14th. Thank you for supporting us on the right side of history. And make sure to have a great night's rest and an even brighter morning as you subscribe to mypillow.com/RSBN. The CEO, Mike Lindell, dear friend of ours and candidate for governor up in the great state of Minnesota. The warehouse moving sale happening right now. Save up to 80%, a big 80 at mypillow.com/RSBN. Call today, do not delay. 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you are moving, a great thing to take advantage of right now, in addition to those other savings from the My Coffee, which is free and fair trade, one of my favorite coffees out there, to the My Slippers, very comfy to have around the house, or if you're lounging on a Saturday or Sunday, remember to keep that Sabbath. Also the My Pillow 1.0, 2.0s, and the Giza Dream Sheets from the Mediterranean Sea, brought to you here, the finest cotton in the country. Again, all the products made right here in America, in the great state of Minnesota. And with all that fraud, waste, and abuse, and the potential of a governor being impeached and an attorney general, and Keith Ellison joining him in that, as that drama continues, send in a businessman, send in someone with common sense, and the master marketer, as President Trump puts it, it's Mike Lindell. Support him at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and you can visit there, mypillow.com/RSBN. A great partnership between the two. Thank you, Mike Lindell, for your friendship and sponsorship here on the right side of history. It's 3:07 on the East Coast. Past high noon on the West Coast, that golden coast, as we love it so much. We love all of you, America, as we are always honored to cover the latest from the Trump White House, inside and outside of the Beltway, from your favorite federal city, which is much safer now, from what I'm hearing. And as we look forward to another trip out there, I'm sure in the near future. For all of my colleagues here, and for Matthew Alvarez, who was on during the first hour at Right Side Broadcasting Network, may you have a very God-filled, God-blessed day on this Tuesday, April 14th. A fair warning before we go, tomorrow, tax day. Make sure you get those in case you did not. I'm sure you already have done. Our viewers here very organized and prepared. But remember, it's the favorite day for the Democrats in Washington, D.C., tax day. They love taxes. The favorite day for Republicans, of course, that 250th birthday coming up on the 4th of July. And President Reagan said it best. For all my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, God bless you and yours. I'm Robert McNeely. Unless there's breaking news, we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.